what are we talking about? We're talking about line graphs. We're talking about ordered pairs. We're talking about determine whether an ordered pair is a solution. We're talking about ordered pairs for the given value. We're completing a table of values. And finally, we're going to plot some ordered pairs. So all things you probably have seen before, where this is kind of the setup for the rest of the chapter. This is one of my favorite chapters, but this is just kind of the setup with it. So what is a line graph? So a line graph is used to show changes or trends in data over time. For a line graph, we connect a series of points representing data with line segments. So that's kind of what a line graph looks like. This is what it looks like. And you guys have already seen it. There's nothing unique, different about it. This is just a line. The lines are connected. The different dots are connected. So this says, the line graph in the figure shows average prices of gallon of regular unleaded gasoline in the United States for the years 2009 through 2016. Estimate the average price of a gallon of gas at 2015. So down here is your years. So I'm going to go to 2015, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to say it's right there. And if I go across, I think it's right here. But for me, it's just a little bit above, so I'm going to say, I don't know, 240 something. I don't know, 245. Sure. So that's all we're looking for there. So go ahead and take a minute to do this. Now be careful. Read it, take your time, see if you can get it figured out. All right, so the question says, about how much did the average price of a gallon of gas decrease from 2014 to 2015? So I think in 2014, I'm going to say 335. I don't know. And I think in 15, I think, what do we say, 245? So I think if I subtract that, I think I'm getting about 90 cents is my answer there. I don't know what they said. What they say? About 90 cents. Cool. All right. So that's line graphs. I feel like you guys are pretty good at that. Different dots, connecting them with straight lines. So now, what is a linear equation? So the first thing I always think about when I think of linear equation is I see this word right here, which is a line. So we're going to talk about line equations or linear equations. And two variables can be written in the form ax plus by equals c. That's something called standard form, which we'll talk about here in a second. And so some examples down there are 3x plus 4y equals 9, x minus y equals 0, x plus 2y equals 8. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So then, what is an ordered pair? So recall the solution to the equation is a number that makes an equation true. So in this case, when we're given x minus 2 equals 5, we're trying to think of what number minus 2 is going to give us 5. And I think you guys would, maybe if you take a second to think about it, you would think that the 7. So replacing the x with a 7 gives us a true statement because 7 minus 2 equals 5. So how do we write this as an ordered pair? Remember an ordered pair, and we've kind of already done this a little bit, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But the first value is the x value, the second value is the y value. That's probably the biggest thing to remember for this lesson. The x value is always given first. A pair of numbers such as 2, 13 is what we call an ordered pair. So this is an ordered pair. So the question is, decide whether each ordered pair is a solution of the equation. So the first thing I do, and this is kind of weird, but I mark this as x and I mark that as y, just so that I know what's going on. The next step I do is I actually rewrite this where anywhere I see a set of parentheses, anywhere I see a variable, I put some parentheses, okay? Then I noticed here I've got to put an x there and I've got to put a y there. So my x is actually 2. I just got some bit in my tongue or something. And this is a negative 5. Sorry, that's weird. So 5 times 2, I believe, is 10. I think 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So the question is, does that equal 20? Well, 10 minus 10 is 0. Does that equal 20? I would say big fat no. So I would say that is not an ordered pair. That ordered pair is not a solution for that equation. So go ahead and try this one. So again, they don't do the parentheses thing, they just use different colors. So if you have different colors pens, that's always a great example. So I have 5x plus 2y equals 20. Plug in my equations, there they do it in parentheses, right? And I think I get a negative 20 plus 40 equals 20. Is that correct? It sure is. So that is an ordered pair. That ordered pair is a solution for that equation, okay? So that's all we're talking about there. So now we're going to complete ordered pairs. So what does this mean? So then I've got this equation, y equals 4x plus 5. So the question is that I have to do first is figure out which is which. Well, this is my x and this is my y. Since I don't know my y, I'm going to plug that back in there. Except for this time where I have my x, I'm going to plug in a 3. So then I bring down my y. I think this is being multiplied, so I get 12 plus 5. So I get y is equal to 17. Similarly here, this is my x, this is my y. Using this equation, I get 13 is equal to 4 times x plus 5. So then I've got to think about the last chapter, right? First thing is a little review. Subtract 5. I get 8 is equal to 4x. Divide both sides by 4. I get 2 is equal to x. So then up here, I'm going to plug in a 2. Now the neat thing about these is you can plug them back in, check in, make sure that it is exactly what it says it is, all that good stuff. So go ahead and take a couple minutes and try these ones. Okay, so this one, I think I'm given my x, I'm solving for y, I'm plugging in there, I get 4 minus 9, so I get y equals negative 5. So the ordered pair is 2, negative 5. Here, I'm given my y this time, add 9 to both sides, divide by 2, I get x equals 8. Okay? And the ordered pair should look like that. Okay? So now, what does it look like to complete a table of values? Basically, we're given a table that has 4 values in it. So it looks something like this, and we're asked to complete it. So basically what we're doing is we're just taking exactly what we just did, but doing it, instead of just doing it for like one ordered pair at a time, we're just doing it for 4. So what do I mean here? So the first one, again, right in parentheses, this time I have an x equals 0. So this time I'm going to plug in a 0 here, plug in a y here. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2y is equal to 6. Divide both sides by 2. I get y equals 3, and I'm going to plug that right there. Same thing for the next one. This time I'm going to skip the first step. I have a y is equal to 0, right? So I get 3x plus 2 times 0 is equal to 6. I think this goes away, so I'm left with 3x is equal to 6. Divide by 3, I get x equals 2. Pretty neat, right? Here, x is equal to 4. Let's try it again. 3 times 4 plus 2 times y, is equal to 6. I think this is 12 plus 2y is equal to 6. Subtract 12, 2y is equal to negative 6. Y is equal to negative 3. Now this one I kind of cheated, but since y is negative 3 here, I can either go through it, or I think I'm just going to put a 4 there. So those are all points. That's points that work for every single one of those. So the key that I just want to do here is looking at your equation, figuring out which one is x, figuring out which one is y, and figuring out which one do I plug it in for, and then how do I solve for the next one. Take a couple minutes to solve for this guy, and then we'll go through it. Okay, so plugging in a 0 for x, I think you're left with negative 3y equals 12. Divide both sides by negative 3, you get negative 4. So that goes there. Plugging in a 0 for y this time, you're left with 2x is equal to 12. Divide both sides by 2, x equals 6. Perfect. Plugging in a 3 for x, subtracting 6 from both sides, divided by negative 3 from both sides, I think you get that. And then this one, you're going to multiply by you're plugging in a negative 3 for y, so then I think you're going to get a 9, so then you're going to subtract 3, so you're going to get a funky 3/2. And that's okay. Remember, you can get fractions, no big deal. Alright, finally, Couple special cases. So we have this as it's complete table values through the equation, right? The result is ordered pair. So we have the equation x is equal to 4. So I guess my question is, does it really matter what our y is? That every time our x is going to be 4? The answer is no. So because of that, we're just going to plug in a 4 in each of those, right? Same thing if we have a y value, right? So if we're given y is equal to -3 and we're asked to fill out a table, it doesn't matter what the x's are because every time our y is going to be a -3. Okay, so hopefully that helped. All right, let's talk about plotting order your pairs. This is the last thing we're going to do today. Kind of a short lesson today, but please let me know if you have any help or need any help. So the horizontal line in the x-axis is the x-axis. So remember that. This is x-axis. This is y-axis, right? The point at the origin, right where they meet, and I'll show you a picture here in a second, is called the origin, right? So that's going to be the point 0, 0. It's going to have the ordered pair of 0, 0. And together they form what's called the rectangular coordinate system. So this is what we're looking at. So again, the one that's going horizontal is going to be your x-axis. The vertical one is going to be your y-axis. The origin is right there in the middle. And then, yeah, that's it. So for plotting points, we're asked to plot the point 3, 5. So the way I do it is this is my x, this is my y. So I don't know, I learned this trick back when I was in high school, middle school, I can't remember, but it's talking about a plane. And remember, if you're riding in a plane, first you have to go on the runway before you can take off. So here, when I'm trying to plot the point 3, 5, I'm going to come over 3 first, and then I'm going to come up 5. I'm going to put my dot, and that's going to be where my plane is. So right 3, up 5, put a dot, and there you go. So I want you to try. I'm going to just pause 2 seconds between each of these. If you want to pause the YouTube video, that's totally fine. See if you can plot this one, -2, 6. Remember, you always go on the runway before you fly. So -2, 6 should be there. -4, 0 should be there. -5, -2 should be there. 9 halves and -1. So I think if you put 9 halves in your calculator, I think you're going to get 4.5, so somewhere about there. And then 0, -6. And there you go. So probably the two hardest on this one is probably C, -4, 0. A lot of times I'll get people putting it on the y-axis. Remember, you always go left and right first before you go up and down. And then 0, -6 is probably the other one where it's like, okay, I don't go anywhere left and right, but I just go down 6. So hopefully you got those figured out.